Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. De-Dollarization has just gotten real. It's happening. More and more nations are ditching the dollar in international trade, and we're going to see how it's all part of a new nationalist, civilizationalist age rising as we speak. Since late February of last year, right after Russia launched the SMO, the Special Military Operation in Ukraine, I've been arguing on this channel that that moment officially ushered in a new world order. Not the new world order, but instead a new age, a new multipolar era marked by the titanic rise of civilization states, where ancient civilizations, through an ongoing process known as retraditionalization, were rising up and effectively shattering the liberal globalist order. And I pleaded with my audience at the time not to lose focus. Don't be swayed by the siren songs of the neocons and neolibs all telling you the same thing, that this was all about the evil KGB agent Vladimir Putin trying to destroy a placidly democratic nation like Ukraine, all in his tyrannical bid to resurrect the Soviet Union. I mean, it didn't matter whose mouth was flapping. It could have been Lindsey Graham, Nancy Pelosi, Sean Hannity, Nikki Haley, Mitch McConnell, Eye Patch McCain. It didn't matter. They were all saying the same thing. Vladimir Putin is a despot, trying to destroy a perfectly innocent democratic nation. And for months, I did everything I could to explain that is emphatically not why our permanent political class has been pumping hundreds of billions of dollars into Ukraine. Sorry to burst any bubbles, but the dolts in D.C. or the bullies in Brussels don't ultimately give a rip about democracy abroad or even a home. In fact, that's exactly the case with Ukraine. We now know, thanks to a transcript published by the BBC, of a telephone conversation between then Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland and the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, that the U.S. State Department was behind the 2014 color revolution that overthrew the duly elected pro-Russian government in Kiev and installed instead a pro-Western puppet government in Ukraine. This has never been about democracy. It's no more about democracy than George Soros's open societies are about democracy. This has been from day one all about maintaining and defending the liberal world order ruled and governed by the dolts in D.C. One of Biden's officials admitted it. Several months back, he said the quiet part out loud. Do you remember this?
They say that this could be a long war measured in years, and I think everybody understands why this is happening, but is it sustainable? What do you say to those families who say, listen, we can't afford to pay $4.85 a gallon for months, if not years. This is just not sustainable.
Well, what you heard from the president today was a clear articulation of the stakes. This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm.
I mean, he said it. He said it again. He explicitly said this is about defending the liberal world order, not some pristine, irreproachable democratic institution like Ukraine. Obviously not. This is all fundamentally about maintaining a particular kind of international order with Washington, D.C. at its center. Well, here we are. That liberal world order is now economically falling apart. It's being widely reported that we are now officially in the midst of de-dollarization trends all around the globe, gang. This is happening. It's happening exactly like we talked about in March of last year. The weaponization of the dollar and the sanctions against Russia are backfiring big time. And here we are. It's being widely reported that China and France have just completed their first yuan-settled liquefied natural gas trade, which is being widely seen as a first step towards ending the U.S. dollar for worldwide energy trades. France bought 65,000 tons of LNG in their first ever yuan-dominated trade, and that, of course, could be the first among many. In addition, it's now being reported that Brazil and China have reached an agreement to ditch the dollar and conduct their cross-border trade with the yuan as well. In fact, just to show you the speed with which this de-dollarization is happening right now, over just the last 2 weeks, Saudi Arabia has been negotiating with China over accepting Chinese yuan for oil sales. China and France have completed their first LNG trade using yuan. Russia is advocating using Chinese yuan as their reserve currency. Saudi Arabia has partnered with China to build a refinery, and China and Brazil have agreed to use Chinese yuan in their cross-border transactions. All told, the percentage of global reserves in U.S. dollars has fallen from 72% in 1999 to 59% today. Now, all of this obviously raises the question, is the collective West, the United States and Europe, isolating Russia from the world? Or is the world isolating the West? Well, we're going to answer that question. But first, gang, a multipolar world is obviously bad news for the globalist empire, but it's great news for gold. As more and more nations are going back to the gold standard, now's the time for patriots to return to the timeless value of gold and silver for this rising new age. And that is where our good friends over at Goldco come in. Click on that link below and learn the 3 simple steps that you can take right now to protect your savings with gold and silver. In fact, Goldco are patriots just like us, and they're offering up to $10,000 in free silver while supply lasts. So don't wait. Click on that link below or visit my special website, turleytalkslikesgold.com. It's being called the hottest ticket in geopolitics, the rise of BRICS. BRICS, of course, standing for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The 5 foundational nations that have formed a new and powerful economic bloc. Since its formations in the 2000s, the economic bloc has grown exponentially, with dozens of countries seeking to join. Nations such as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, Algeria, Argentina, Mexico, and Nigeria. They're all lining up and applying for membership. And as a result, this new economic bloc is providing the global platform for new bilateral trade agreements that are deliberately bypassing the dollar as the default currency of exchange. And it's not just BRICS. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, is fast becoming, if not already is, the largest economic organization in the world, encompassing 40% of the world's population, 30% of global GDP. It includes nations such as China, Russia, India, Pakistan, Iran, and many of the satellite nations around Russia, such as Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, all the stands, right? It's both a political and economic coalition that's just over 20 years old, and more nations are beginning to acclimate themselves, recalibrate themselves around this rising economic titan, or I should say titans. Both BRICS and SCO are changing the world order economically, moving the world more away from the dolts in D.C., away from the demons in Davos, away from the bullies in Brussels, and are together reawakening a far more conservative, civilizationalist, traditionalist, and religious world. And even President Trump is recognizing that the West is being left behind in all of this. So obviously, we'll keep a very close eye on how all of this develops. But you should know, we are several years away from any possibility, as I understand it, of full de-dollarization. But make no mistake, it is coming. The world doesn't want to be bullied by the sanctioning threats coming from what they perceive as a dying globalist regime. A new civilizationalist age truly is rising, and the old globalist world is indeed coming to an end. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, and you'll definitely want to check out my latest video on Trump's polls surging as the Manhattan grand jury gets suspended for the next month. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.